And hagelslag.
Hagelslag.
We don't have, we don't use the
We also don't have it.
or something. It's a topping that we put on cakes in France.
Yeah, exactly. Same in
Netherlands,
Istanbul.
they-
We don't do. They
No.
eat it for breakfast on a top of bread. Yeah.
The Netherlands, they put
Butter
it on.
and hagelslag.
Sorry? Yeah, chocolate sandwich. Désolé pour cette petite introduction. Donc, bon, nous étions sur des considérations culinaires particulièrement bataves, puisque nous parlons du hagelslag, qui est, vous savez, chez nous, les espèces de petites granules de chocolat qu'on met sur les pâtisseries. Oui, c'est le truc qu'on met en décoration. Aux Pays-Bas, ils mangent ça sur des tartines de pain, en fait, beurrées. Et ils mettent le hagelslag et puis ils mangent ça comme ça. Donc j'expliquais que chez nous, c'était pas du tout... on met du Nutella, on met pas du hagelslag. Well, sorry, that was an easy introduction for my basic knowledge of what I know from the Netherlands. So, hailing from the Netherlands, donc nous accueillons aujourd'hui Altin Gün. You just correct me if my pronunciation is bad. Altin Gün. So basically, what I'm going to do, I'm just introducing very basic introduction. I just do the translation back. So I just make sure that I can grab some. Well, you can talk for a certain length, but then I need to transfer it back. So no. That's right. Okay, and well, after the introduction and probably basic question, the people here in the audience will maybe have some questions. So it's interesting to let people maybe take advantage of having the artist and ask questions. So as I was I'm telling the people here, so we French people discovered you the French musical, groundbreaking French musical where a lot of breakthrough artists are featured. Transmusical, that was in 2017. And as I was explaining again, so it's the fact that you're here is bridging the gap with an artist that we've had on the festival, Jacko Gardner. Okay, right. And so you have so you are a Dutch band. Okay, right. Turkish, but with Dutch members, okay, right? I don't know if you consider yourself Turkish or Dutch, okay, right? The band, actually.
I mean, I just meant it in a band. We're not a Dutch band. I mean, we're a mix of Dutch and Turkish. I mean,
you come from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, right. You came from the Netherlands. We don't have. So we know Jacko Gardner. Dutch music in France is not. We don't have a very comprehensive. We don't know. I know Betty Servert. I don't know if you remember that. Betty Servert. Okay, right. That's no good from the 70s. Yeah, she's Dutch. She's Canadian. She's Canadian, but she plays with.
I think they actually used to rehearse in the same rehearsal space as us in Amsterdam.
Right.
Is that not right?
You basically mix Turkish influences. Okay, so the traditional folk Turkish music with psychedelic elements. So. I'd just like to know where does the idea stem from? When you start a band nowadays, it's a very particular route to take. When you make a band. Well, I know that most bands try to have maybe I wouldn't say try to meet the demands of psychedelic music or anything. So the origins of the project, where does it come from, and how did you decide this?
Well, what we're doing is something that has been done before in the 70s by Turkish artists, taking traditionals and making like a psychedelic rock version of those songs. And when we first started, we started doing exact versions that already existed. Like we took like a song, I don't know, by Neshat Ertaş, but we played like the version Zelda did or something.
Yeah.
But after a while, we started making our own versions of those traditional songs.
So blending, what type of what was the intention of so coming from maybe a raw material as folk music, and then trying to blend influences, that music that you were influenced by, or something that you were doing with your own twist.
Just in general, the psychedelic sounds of the 60s and 70s is our main influence, I think, but we also use a lot of synthesizers and add like disco elements or Italo, or like especially on the new album we have like one kind of like an Italo track.
Mhm.
I guess we take influences from everywhere, and everyone has different influences, you know.
Mhm. Okay.
The drummer might be influenced by other people than the guitarist. It's just, I don't know, it's pretty organic, you know. We take a traditional song and we just start playing that song with the whole band and see what happens, basically.
How did the Turkish influences? I mean, did you as you guys? So you come from a Turkish background, that's right?
I'm
You-
from Istanbul.
You're from Istanbul, okay, right? Born and raised in
I
Istanbul.
moved there like 5 years ago.
You moved in Amsterdam, okay,
Yeah,
right,
next
fine.
to it.
So basically, how did how did you meet, and how what influence did you have in setting up maybe the direction of the band before you probably were you guys making music together, or did you happen to come together?
Me and Ben played with Jacco Gardner,
Okay.
and also the first drummer of the band, he also played with Jacco Gardner,
Okay.
so we already knew each other.
Hmm.
And Gino we knew from a well-known Amsterdam-based band called Jungle by Night.
Hmm.
So those were the first people in the band, actually.
Okay.
The
Right.
Turkish people came later.
You happened to meet together, and so you how did you know?
Well, Jasper put an ad on Facebook looking for Turkish musicians that want to play Selda, Barış Manço, Erkin Koray covers, or some like really crappy poster, but it did the job. It was great, yeah. So well, I just saw it through a mutual friend, and he tagged me in the post, so that's how I responded. And Erdinç also reacted, so we were the first ones to react, and then we went in the rehearsal space, and it worked.
Mhm. Your new album, your first album was more maybe what I don't know if you agree, but more folk or traditional, and the second album seems to have delved into more adventurous directions. Okay, how is that? Because well, you mentioned the influences, but the fact that it's more maybe there's more experimentation, there's more synthesizers, or so.
Yeah.
How does it take to move to start from something that is very traditionally based music with probably specific elements of specific instruments from Turkish
I think
music?
I was just gonna say that it's a gradual process because
Okay.
we became a band. We are a recent band. So after the first album, we'd been playing a lot of shows already.
Mhm.
So you grow as a band together, and then you explore and have
Mhm.
more adventurous approaches. I guess it's a gradual
It's
process.
a kind of a natural process. It's not something that is. It's always
It's not unnatural or something. It's very like sort of organic.
It's always interesting to because as an artist, it's always interesting to. It's a question that is always asked to artists about the process of creating is always well for non-music people is always something that is very far-fetched or that seems to be that can be decided, okay, whereas creation is sometimes something very spontaneous. So you would say that it came out, the result, the second album was a more spontaneous process, that's what you would say.
I don't think it was that spontaneous, to be honest. I think with the second album we decided to rent a small cottage in the Dutch countryside and like just stay there for a week together and just make music and try and work on the new stuff. So it was quite calculated, I think. But we didn't want to do the same thing as the first album. It wasn't something new. It wouldn't make sense to do the same thing. I mean, it is kind of the same, but then production's a bit different, a bit more fuzz guitars and a bit more moody things. Yeah, I mean, I guess we do grow and in a way it's spontaneous, but we definitely went to work in this little house for 10 days and came out with quite a few things that came on the album.
Yeah, during the psychedelic era, there was also in the Netherlands a very specific scene that is not very well known in France, but apart from Shocking Blue, but there were a lot of other bands. Does this psychedelic scene also have an influence in what you play? not especially.
I think it does. I mean, especially the ones who listen to that. I think Jasper and I definitely like a lot of that stuff.
The Netherlands is actually a very closed sort of market musically. Not many acts. I mean, there's a lot of like electronic music exports from there, like, you know, all the big famous DJs.
I think he's talking about the psychedelic.
Yeah, the
60s.
Yeah.
60s.
Oh.
There's like Q65
Yeah, there's a few bands.
a lot of.
Actually, we practice in this bunker, this place in the Vondelpark in Amsterdam, and it used to be a venue in the 60s, and a lot of those, well, it still is kind of, yeah, it's a different thing, but it used to be different, and a lot of those Dutch bands back then played there, so maybe the vibes from there have like seeped into us somehow.
I was unfortunately totally unaware of the 60s and 70s psychedelic Dutch music scene. I'm sorry, my bad.
Not again.
Q65, so it's Q65.
It's a good band.
Good band? Okay, right.
Great.
So yes, psychedelic sounds like your typical 60s and 70s psychedelic band of the days, or something with a Dutch twist, or?
Q65 sounds a little bit like the Pretty Things or the
Okay.
Stones.
Like the British rock scene for
Yeah, but they're really good.
they're really good. Okay.
Really raw.
Your music has got a lot of pretty intricate time signatures and irregular beats and interesting scales that you don't often hear in Western music. So are you guys classically trained on music theory and stuff like that?
Not me. But
Well, I did conservative for a little bit. Erdis also did for a little bit. I didn't finish it. Neither did Erdis. But I think like it's just very happens a lot in this Turkish music. Like 9/9/8, 7/8. Those kinds of things are very natural for a lot of Turkish musicians. I think they don't even think about the time signatures anymore. It's just like a feeling they have, and. Also, it's also another thing which you should really calculate that much. You know, you can figure out how many times this time signature goes over to that time signature till it comes together. But you know, in the end, it's just if it locks together. I've heard Ben say that like he doesn't always know which time signature he's playing, but as long but as long as you come together and it grooves together, that's all that matters. I feel. So
it's very intuitive. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we just feel.
If you just know the melody, you know, then the melody, you know where it ends and starts, and that's
Exactly. You should be able to sing every part.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course, it's nice to be classically trained, but you know, you can also be without.
Yeah, we used to play this song Hababam, but that's like switches from time signature all the time. I have no idea. It's like, oh yeah, bar 5. That's this time signature, and bar. I have no idea. You just sort of play the melody, sort of.
And the tunings and stuff, I have to tune my guitar to fit his weird Turkish guitar.
Oh, the quarter tones.
Yeah. So
How do you
that's-
tune? How do you tune? Is it a classic? Is it like a?
Well, most of it I try to play just in standard tuning, but sometimes I have to detune some of the strings.
What kind of tuning do you get to match the instrument?
The thing is, he has little frets on his guitar that makes. I shouldn't say guitar, it's sus, by the way. But it makes quarter notes, so that it's like smaller distances.
Okay, so it's not a semitone; it's quarter note.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we use the semitones, but they got even smaller notes, so I have to keep like changing a little bit so it doesn't sound out of tune with the sus. So it was all kind of discovery for me. I didn't study any of this stuff; it just happened.
Your music, so how is it? You went to Turkey, so how is the music received in Turkey? I mean, how do people react to your music? And were you? I heard that you played like sold-out shows in various cities like Istanbul and Ankara. Would you expect those? Would you expect? You would expect, but
But still, we're not that big there.
no.
No, but whenever we play sold-out shows. But Turkey is huge, you know. It's like 80 million, so I think only like a small part sort of knows us in that sense. But it's always great when we're there. Yeah, people they know all the songs. So.
And how do people react to this? Because from a European point of view, I mean, it's your music is perceived by maybe people who typical, typical rock audiences who are people who might be curious into, open to other cultures and interested in the kind of the marriage you're trying to make between the different, the cultures, okay, right? So people get, probably an interest for that kind of a mix. But the people probably the people in Turkey, I mean, they probably their fathers listen to, probably
they
young kids.
themselves, I think, pretty much like my generation at least, grew up with this music.
So
Well,
they feel
everybody.
they understand your take on the stuff, or
Well,
are they
it seems to be. Otherwise, they wouldn't show up, I guess. I mean, I think it sort of delivers.
Yeah, I feel like Turkish people, like, and their music is deeply, like, it's deep in their soul, like it's very important to them. Whenever there's a song, they all start singing and clapping, and they're really, really into it. It's this passion for music, and like the reactions are great, but they're everywhere. Turkish people are. We just went to America, and a lot of Turkish people came to our shows there too. And actually, thank God, because they kind of start the party sometimes.
Yeah.
And then like the other people who are just, what you were talking about, people just interested in rock and kind of want to see something else, something different. They kind of see these Turkish people going nuts, and they kind of start going nuts, and then before you know it, everybody's going nuts, and like, yeah, it's just really cool.
Is that what you mean going nuts? Like they clap their hands,
Yeah,
or they start dancing, or they start...
Yeah.
Really?
Especially in France, that happens a lot. Audiences in France are very well behaved. Like they get into it. They love music. Like it's great to be in France, but they like clap and then it stops, and then it's silent, and then you may start the next song. Sort of. But like when there's a bunch of Turkish people, they're going crazy, like doing circles and stuff, and then they start loosening up too a bit. It's nice to see these different people come to the shows.
I also feel that like we were scared that maybe because we're foreign or not everybody that like Turkish, that how the way we would perceive Turkish music, we might do it wrong or anything.
Okay.
But a lot of them are, I think, very grateful that we are bringing back a sort of old songs they already know and putting it in new light and exposing it to a lot of people, so they feel like their music they've known for a long time is being brought out there and being reappreciated. So that's what kind of energy I feel with a lot of these people. But yeah, luckily also a lot of non-Turkish people come to love it.
Yeah, that's interesting because you have this very broad audience from reaching out to I would say more psychedelic, as I was saying, psychedelic, curious, typical rock guys, and then expanding to to people from Turkey who will have the culture, will have their own take on the music, probably from a more traditional, less indie, if I might say so, point of view, which I think must bring some interesting mixture in the concerts.
It happened all organically. I mean, obviously we make Turkish music, so I guess you would expect a turnout, but like lately especially, the attendance is more and more. It's really cool to see just like people from completely different backgrounds, otherwise wouldn't be in the same room.
Mhm.
It's really cool. Yeah.
How do you choose the traditional song, Turkish song you're gonna play? Is it from the melody or the lyrics or something?
Well, some of the songs I already knew from my parents, because my parents are Turkish and I grew up with this traditional music. And sometimes we just start jamming and I think like, maybe we could use this song for it. I don't know, yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah.
Because we change the rhythm usually.
It's very melodic driven music, like Turkish music.
Usually it's just one guy with a saz, so there's not much rhythm going on. So we make up all that ourselves, but it's the melody that kind of gets to us. That's like cool, we could use that,
The music is mostly melody driven because it's the saz. That's the name of the instrument.
Yeah.
It usually accompanies the vocals.
Vocals and the saz, and then you guys bring a rhythmic element to the mix.
Rhythm, synths, percussions,
Mm.
space drums, all kinds of things.
Well, thank you very much.
rien.
It's been a real pleasure to have you here and to answer our questions. That was very very nice. And, voilà. Merci à vous. Thank you very much.
Did you manage to close it?
That is so
Oh man.